Hi, it's another episode. Welcome to the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carr. It's always fun bringing you this particular program. Like I always say, it's the perfect accompaniment to the live coverage of the AFCON, which is being played in Cameroon. If you have anything to tell us, send us a message on the number 0550-585832, hashtag AFCON on Citi. Would love to read your messages from Ghana and outside Ghana. I'm sure there are people who are watching us from the 4 countries involved in the semis of the AFCON as things stand. Please, let's hear from you. If you are watching us in Ghana, either on DSTV channel 363 or on GoTV channel 182 or free to air, would love to hear from you, no matter your method of viewing. I'll introduce my guests in a bit. We have a lot to discuss. We look at the first semi-final between Senegal and Burkina Faso. It promises to be exciting when that game happens later today at 7 p.m. We'll talk about that and a lot more right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carr. Once again, let me introduce the guys on the touch as usual, the man with the stats and data. Sisu Graham, hi. Mr. Spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet has let him down.
No, he said he misread the spreadsheet. So
We prefer the first one.
My enemies are trying to change the narrative.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they are doing that. That's so unfair. First Tahir is here. Hello, friend.
Hi.
How are you doing? Nice tie.
Thank you very much. It's in honor of the earth.
In
It's
honor of
green.
the earth.
So,
It's good.
yes.
Okay.
Why are you laughing?
All right, let's proceed. Achutamaklo, hi.
Hi, Nathan.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's Achu's first appearance on the show. He was a late entry. Now that we're in the semis, he's now joining the team.
He has
So that-
address.
He has overdressed. Achu, everything cool?
By the grace of God.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Okay. All right, let's start off. Let's have a look at the fixture, which is set for today. Burkina Faso versus Senegal. That is the official name of the match. Burkina Faso versus Senegal. So Burkina Faso designated home side, Senegal designated away side. I think it will affect even the kind of colors they wear today. I think it will affect the kind of colors the two teams wear today. Guys, let's zoom in on the conversation. We'll have a look at how they all got here and all of that. But actually, let me take your thoughts. Visitors' privilege. Your thoughts on the two teams, really, before we get into the specifics. How have you viewed their run to this point of the competition? And are you surprised they've made it this far?
Pleasantly surprised by what Burkina Faso have done, because I think up until this point, there was not much known about how they actually play. Especially if you look at the fact that beyond that starting 11, most of us did not really know how the other young players like Cyril Bayala, Dango Ouattara will walk into the team when need be and then express themselves. But I think that with a mix of the adversity back home and what's been happening in the tournament itself, they've reacted very well, because we've seen them at full capacity. We've seen them when they've been forced by opponents to make changes in games. And we've seen them even before games when scouting reports has informed Malo to make changes to his lineup and how he approaches games. And so far, I think that performance versus Tunisia is what tells the better story of the sort of team that they are, because then you could see the technical competence of the coach before the game in how he set the team up to accommodate how physical Tunisia were going to be on the day. And even in terms of the lineup, throwing in a young 19-year-old into the fray in a game like that. And again, the maturity to be able to handle what was happening back home and throw a 19-year-old into the mix.
Context of the coup and Keffi
Exactly.
and all that.
I mean, maybe as the show progresses, we'll talk about even the meritocracy in the team, because look, how many teams of the continent will the captains be happy to take a place on the bench? They are not injured. The coach just thinks that there's someone with a better skill set and style suited to that job for the day. But Traore accepted that. And more importantly, the 19-year-old who went in there worked their treats and held them. For me, I think they've been the more impressive of the two sides. We know all there is to know about Senegal, but in terms of playing the brand of football, that has that aesthetic quality for people to enjoy. I don't think I've had that from Senegal. And if you look at where a lot of their players have had their football education, you expect them to play football that sort of makes sense.
Okay.
With that in mind.
All right, let's have a look at how the Burkina Faso team, the Stallions, how they made it to the semis. Now, they started off, they played the opening game of the competition, lost 2-1 to Cameroon after Gustavo Sangare scored the opening goal of the competition. Then they beat Cape Verde by a goal to nil. Then they drew 1-1 with Ethiopia, so that gave them 4 points. It was enough to send them through. Then they met Gabon in a round of 16, and they played out that exciting penalty shootout, one of the most exciting shootouts I've seen in terms of live football. And then they did that job on Tunisia in the quarterfinal, winning by a goal to nil. Dango's first half strike, enough to send them through and enough to hand them a ticket to play for the right to be called AFCON finalists. They play in that semi-final against Senegal later today in Douala. That game is in Douala. It's at 7 p.m. All right, let's as we go over, the high points of what they've done, let's just get their highlights and we see exactly what they were doing. Now, this is the first goal of the competition, Gustavo Sangare's goal.
Yeah, it's very important to highlight the fact that in every single one of their matches, Burkina Faso have taken the lead.
Okay.
Every single one of them, they've taken the lead. In that game against Cameroon, they took the lead. In this game against Ethiopia, same thing. In this particular match, same thing, they took the lead again. In the game against Gabon, the round of 16, they took the lead. Against Tunisia, they took the lead. So they are a team that are quick off their feet. And every time they have taken the lead so far in this
That's one of my favorite goals of the competition.
Indeed, it was very well done. The two pass brilliantly executed, and the finish from afar with the goalkeeper closing the angle like that. Any slight touch of the ball, that would have gone wide, but he squeezed it in, and they deserved to win in the penalty shootout. Of course, they missed several opportunities to close the game. And somehow it seemed like they had 9 lives, and they kept surviving. Gabon, it kept giving them opportunities. They kept surviving. Eventually, they took it. This one, in particular, the sequence building up to the goal, first by the referee allowing play to continue when there was seemingly a foul. Mm-hmm. And that's, checking, didn't exactly get the flick right, but it still fell to him quite perfectly. He catches it on the half volley. Brilliant goal.
And I think I think he managed to get that. There was a Tunisian defender close to him, and he put him in a corner where if you foul him, he goes down.
Yes.
So the Tunisian defender had to let him go.
So that trend of Burkina Faso always taking the lead against oppositions they've played in this competition is quite an interesting scenario. I'm not quite sure that this is exactly accidental. It's possible that they are a team that really comes out and try to steal the initiative. The only time they have taken the lead and not gone on to win was in the opening game against Cameroon. And then that 1-1 draw as well. But they've not lost bottom line.
Technically, they did draw against Gabon. Technically.
But that's the thing. Every single one of their matches has been decided by 1-goal margin. Yeah. So they're not scoring too many goals. It's either a draw, or it's a 2-1, or it's a 1-0, or it's a penalty shootout. So they are a team that's very much involved in close games, and I expect this particular one against Senegal to be very similar. Okay. Against Gabon, I thought, and this is the other thing that has worked in Burkina Faso's favor. And trust me when I say it, there's luck in football, and I think Burkina Faso have found luck on some few occasions.
Okay.
Most especially in that game against Gabon. When Gabon had a man center, Burkina Faso didn't look like they were the ones playing with 11 men at all throughout that particular game. And then in the penalty shootout, they handed the initiative to Gabon on many, many occasions. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like 2 or 3 times.
The Gabonese missed 3 times.
Yeah. And somehow they still survived. Then you take in their game against Tunisia. Like we have said here before, it's a game where if either team won, you would have said they deserved it. Tunisia had really good opportunities. Wabi Kazri had a setter. He missed it. Inexcusable miss. But Burkina Faso have made their own luck. That has to be stated, because you don't score, you don't win. What they have done is always score and try to see what they're defending or what riding their luck can do for them. But I think Their coach has also been very good. He's had a very clear tactic. Burkina Faso haven't gone into games where they are trying to steal the initiative in terms of possession. They're very happy to sit back and play on quick transitions, catch teams on the break. That's how they scored against Gabon. That's how they scored against Tunisia. That's how they've scored a lot of their goals. The only exception being against the one against Cameroon, where they score from a set piece. But the rest of the matches,
then you could tell the goal was coming.
You know, exactly.
Yeah, of course. Like Fenta said, they do start off very quickly.
They do, and that is an interesting tactic. They will be, especially against a Senegal team that is not used to conceding, because the 3-1 win against Equatorial Guinea was the first time they've actually conceded in the entire tournament. So think about a tactic of trying to always score first up against a tactic of not conceding at all. That should be some fascinating spectacle.
All right, that should be fun stuff. Burkina Faso and Senegal. I don't know if Susu has something to share with us. I don't know.
Well, I can just talk about the kind of playing styles we are going to look at today.
Okay.
So I did a little bit of research.
Okay.
And
so we want to look at the two teams, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what we'll do. You can hold on that. Let's run through Senegal's path to the semis, and then we'll come back and look at the possible stylistic clash of the two. So just hold on for us. But that's Senegal. This is how they made the semi-final. They beat Zimbabwe by a goal to nil. Drew goalless with Guinea. Drew goalless with Malawi. Now, at that point, a lot of people were worried about Senegal and whether they would progress. But they came alive in the round of 16, beat Cape Verde by 2-0. And then they showed even greater class and quality after they beat Equatorial Guinea by 3-1. Aliou Cisse getting mad props for the two changes he made and those two players coming off the bench, Ismail Assar and Sekou Kouyaté. And Fence was making a point, if you are conceding a goal to Sekou Kouyaté, then you do have a big problem in your team. Guys, you know, earlier when Susu put out, I think it was yesterday, when he shared the graph of the favorites, Senegal was at the top. And a lot of people have looked at this competition and they believe that this could be when Senegal probably wins their first AFCON. They've made it to the semi, so they are on course. But just general impression of what we've seen, probably try to compare them in 2019. Do they look more convincing now when you compare them to 2 years ago, or you think that the levels have dropped a bit?
I think they've been poor compared to 2019, to be honest. But what's working for Senegal, I think, in this competition is that despite a struggling start, they seem to be finding their feet now. They seem to be picking at the right time. They played their best game of the competition in the last round. And before that, that game was better than the 3 games they played in the group stages. Okay. So you can clearly tell that the team is picking up at the right time. And you know, in tournaments of 7 matches, 8 games, picking at the right time is very important. All right, you pick too early, you run the danger of getting kicked out. Just ask Nigeria. You pick a little late.
And you probably are losing a final.
Exactly. So you pick at the right time, and you could go into the final stages of the competition in your prime form. And I think that's what Senegal are doing. I still genuinely think that Senegal are playing below their below their standards in terms of the quality of talent and what kind of football they can play, given the material at their disposal. But at the moment, I really think that they are in a good place. There's a very good mix that Aliou Cisse has found that is working for them. And I think genuinely, I am looking at Senegal and thinking that this is a team that's got not just the fact that the team is getting better, but I think individual players are also stepping up, because for the first time we have seen possibly 3 of their biggest players in the competition, Sadio Mane, Ismail Assar, Sekou Kouyaté, based on where they play, obviously, stepping up when the team absolutely needed them. And for Sadio Mane, I think they will need him to be at his very best. He may not be scoring, but I think what Sadio Mane does is that he influences the match in ways that are beyond just the goals themselves. And they've got outlets where they can find goals at any given time. Ismail Assar just indicating how important it is to have quality on the bench. So I think Aliou Cisse and the Senegalese populace will be very happy at where the team is at the moment. Okay. They would be happy that the team is picking up form at the right time. They'll be happy that coming up against a Burkina Faso team that is somehow obviously look like a team that hasn't scored a lot of goals. And if Senegal can can continue their form of scoring 3 goals for the first time in the competition and score a couple more goals, they might stand a chance, because Burkina Faso, not in a single game in this competition have they scored more than one goal in a game. In 5 matches, they've scored exactly 1 goal in every single one of them. So, it looks like if Senegal can get more than 1 goal, they might win it.
Actually, I'll get to you on 2 things. One, Aliou Cisse's possible future should he fail to win this AFCON, and the fact that, whether you think handing responsibility to people like Dieng and others seem to have given this team a bit of an extra dimension. But so just run us through the head-to-head and the possible clash of styles and what the teams have done so far.
So the head-to-head, there's been a lot of draws. They've played 12 games and 7 have been draws. They've played twice at the AFCON, and Senegal have won 1 and they've drawn the other 1. So as you can see, it's a very balanced rivalry, quote-unquote. There's not much in it. But then again, we see them as more of the kind of just below the top tier of African football. So it makes sense that we would see similar records against each other. But like I said, they played so long ago at the AFCON. I don't think it's very relevant to what we are going to see today, which is why I want to talk about their styles. So we've spoken about the charts that I have where we talk about the playing styles, where teams fit and that kind of stuff. So as you can see, Burkina Faso are a more direct team. And then we have Senegal in the more, tiki-taka passing quadrants. But then when you narrow it down, I chose a few specific metrics courtesy of Opta. And so let's start here. So Burkina Faso are first in direct attack. So they are
first in the entire competition.
In the entire competition. This is by competition. So they are the best at moving the ball from deep into the attack.
So
exactly. So
a direct attack means either they go a touch or a shot. A touch in the box or a shot away from moving the ball from their own half to the front. So we can see they are very good with it. Senegal have also done it, but I think theirs is more about volume rather than a game time. They've played 5 matches in the competition, but you can see it's more like Burkina Faso do it about 3 times a game. They do it about twice. So there's a bit of a preference for Burkina Faso to do that. Then the 10 pass sequences shows the style thing even more. So Burkina Faso, the whole tournament, they have 10 sequences where they strung 10 or more passes.
10 different times where they've played 10 plus passes.
Exactly. Compared to Senegal, who've done it 33 times. So now you're seeing the style thing a bigger contrast. Though in the rankings, this is the starkest one, 6th and 19th. Then you go to high turnovers again. So you can see Senegal winning the ball a lot higher, 34 times compared to 19. So 3rd and 13th. But it looks like Burkina Faso, even though they defend deep, they do press when the ball comes deep. I don't think they're a team that lets teams play in their own half. They let them play when it's deep. They don't mind if your defenders are passing. But once it gets into their half, they will start moving, they will start hurrying you, trying to get you off the ball. So I think it's more of a case where they are not a team that will park the bus, quote unquote, but they just prefer to defend deep because you've limited the space. You are more compact. You are able to defend better with less space and spring a surprise on the opposition. So I think this will be a very interesting game. You should maybe Faso score first. It will be even more of that, them sitting back and hitting them on the counter. So I think this will be the most stylistically different game. I think Cameroon and Egypt are a bit closer together, but we'll talk about them tomorrow.
Interesting stuff. I mean, the numbers, I mean, you look at them and they paint a very interesting picture. Like Susu said, one team that loves to pass the ball around and another team that really doesn't care too much about this pass. All we want is let's just hit straight. And I think a lot of the goals, like we've highlighted, are 2 passes and below. From turnovers. Because the Bertrand Traoré goal was 1 pass, 1 through the middle, he's scoring. Dango's goal, same, 1 pass to.
It's almost like the game is tailor-made for both teams, to be honest.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Burkina Faso dream of an opposition that would come and want to hold the ball because they are only interested in playing quick transitions, getting the ball high up the pitch the moment they win by possession. Senegal wants to be in control in terms of possession, of course, move the ball around a lot and try to create chances. So, Susu makes a very interesting point when he says that if Burkina Faso do score first, we could be in for a very
It puts Senegal in a very awkward situation because now you have to chase the game.
And then you're playing into the exact strength of Burkina Faso. So that should be...
That should be fun stuff. Actually, just quick thoughts before we go on a break. You know, initially when the Senegalese started, they were struggling for form, struggling for goals. We've seen players like Dieng come off, the chap from Marseille and stuff like that. Do you think that Aliou Cisse needs to probably put him in more to provide them a better outlet for scoring and then let Sadio Mane and others think of their creativity, or they should probably play the 3 fluid forwards they started the competition with.
I think if there's one thing that I've seen with Aliou Cisse, it has to be how progressive he can be in situations like this. Historically, one of the reasons why the Senegalese have never really excelled at the AFCON is the fact that if you take away the big players pre-tournaments, the guys who the pre-tournaments narrative would nail them down as the men with the expectation, with the weight of expectations on them, when the tournament football starts, you do not find a situation where, or you cannot see a situation where other members of the team assume responsibility. And so when you get to the business end of tournaments where these players are shackled or are simply not having a good game, the whole system crumbles. It's as if they build their teams around those players. And so you have situations like even in 2002, 2006, 2008, even the classic 2012 to 2015.
They took 1 million strikers.
When Dembaba does not find the scoring boots, Moussa Sow, Papi Cisse, when it doesn't happen for them, the whole system crumbles because by then they had not created a culture that enables other members in the team to assume responsibility, to get used to being the guys who will feel comfortable to take shots in the final third of the pitch and not try to look for Sadio Mane in today's case. But in the last 3 games in this tournament, what we have seen is that is a significant shift from that norm. And I think that even in 2019, it was the main reason why they lost the final. Because you could tell that it was all Sadio Mane. Everything had to go through him. And once the Algerians figured out how to keep him to attack from as far away from the penalty box as possible, Senegal were in trouble. Because yes, Mane was seeing the ball, but he was not getting into the areas where he could really hurt them. Now he had to go through about 2 or 3 layers of defense before he gets close to the penalty area. But what we've seen them do with Ismail Assar and a few others in this game, not only in terms of goal scoring, but that ability to just hold on to the ball, determine what the team does next, and not try to look for Sadio Mane, gives them a different layer of unpredictability, another outlet of creativity, which is good in tournaments like this. Because look, if there is anything that the Burkinabés have shown capable of doing, it is to scout teams and set up in a way that will shackle opponents, and also produce a lineup that says, I know what you're going to do. And so, for example, against Tunisia, we knew the Tunisians were going to be very physical. What does he do? He drops his captain, Bertrand Traoré. Under normal circumstances, many would say that that's a crazy move, but Traoré he has glass legs. There's every chance that he gets injured, and at a point you have to change him. If that happens, out through the window goes the entire strategy. And so he decides to throw in a 19-year-old who's very physical, but is educated to understand the system and is able to implement it. Ultimately, he goes out there to score the goal. And so this is exactly the sort of a position where he has to bring that to bear. Let the team play in a manner that says that we know we have perhaps one of the best players in the world, but we also have other ways of finding solutions on the pitch.
Okay, all right. We'll see how the Senegalese will handle the Burkinabés. It's a game set for 7 p.m. at the Stade de Japoma in Douala, the first semi-final of the AFCON 2021 competition. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, there are messages, we go through them. If not, we have other things to talk about. We'll talk a bit about goalkeeping. It's been a very interesting competition for goalkeepers and goalkeeping, and we'll go through some of the things that have been done from the men in between the sticks. You're still watching the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwan. The guys are here, Susu Graham, Achuta Maklo, and Fentu Tahiru. Let me read some of your messages. Musa Hadi in Tolong says, hashtag Team Burkina Faso tonight. Fusheni from Northeast Region says, this year's AFCON is interesting, but my best goalkeeper is the Senegalese goalkeeper. Which one? They've used 2 goalkeepers so far. Gameli, a.k.a. the Monkey Man, says, blessed to have all of you on the set today. I'm missing DK, but he says Achu Koliko, interesting, referring to you as Achu Koliko. He says he's the Kuyate for today. And so you should see how the old lady is sitting here giving Fentu fans. Gameli's mother is enamored by Fentu.
God bless your mother. God bless your mother.
All right, this one says, I love the transition from the likes of Banse Pitroipa to the modern Burkinabe squad. I'd like to see a Senegal-Egypt final just before the World Cup playoffs. Maybe if Senegal wins against Egypt, they might not be worried if Egypt beat them to a World Cup ticket. If you are Mane or Salah, would you prefer winning the AFCON or qualifying for the World Cup? Interesting questions there.
I think it would be more
Winning
of
the
the
AFCON.
AFCON. Yeah.
They'd love to win the AFCON.
Yeah.
Unless you are going to make it into the semis of the World Cup,
Which is
there's not a lot of
almost now
value in there.
impossible. Now
There's
impossible.
$12 million.
No, for the individual
For the
players.
individual, I mean, think about it. If Mo Salah wins the AFCON, I think that's almost done for him winning Ballon d'Or.
What if he wins the World Cup?
Well,
What are the chances of that?
what are the chances of that happening?
Anyway,
One in a
but
million.
yeah, I agree. Salah has said it himself. He said the trophy he wants most at
Is
the
the AFCON.
moment
It's the
is
AFCON.
AFCON.
Yeah. That's what he can win. All right, let's get to the other thing I mentioned just before the break. Goalkeepers. Goalkeeper. You know, usually we enjoy tournaments. We are enamored, really. We are captivated by midfielders, strikers, lovely goals, the occasional defender. But goalkeepers usually do not get a lot of mentions. But in this AFCON, we've seen some very interesting goalkeeping happenings there. There you see the Comorian goalkeeper saving a penalty. We've seen other goalkeepers do amazing stuff as well. The Gambian goalkeeper, point blank save against Vincent Abubakar. Wabi Kazri will not enjoy watching this because he had his penalty. So usually quite reliable from the spot. And we've seen the goalkeepers do the incredible things. Hervé Kofi doing 1 million somersaults. And because of that alone, I think he should be goalkeeper of the tournament. Lovely save by Bono. This was against the Black Stars. Guys, I'll get your thoughts in a bit, but let me take Susu's analysis of goalkeeping. Susu, what have we noticed and what have you picked up in terms of the men in between the sticks? And this is interesting that for an AFCON, we are actually highlighting goalkeepers and some of the good work that they've done so far.
You're right, because the last AFCON, what I remember was keepers dropping a lot of crosses, silly mistakes. And I thought to myself, the quality of goalkeeping on the continent is pretty low if this is the best we can put out. But I think this AFCON has changed. I don't see much of those mistakes in terms of dropping the ball from crosses, not being able to play out from the back. But I see a lot of very good shot stopping, and they are doing the other things to an acceptable level fairly well. So I think this has been a good AFCON for African goalkeeping, and even the smaller nations where you expect the Comoros, Sierra Leone, Equatorial Guinea, their keepers would struggle and be beating all ends out. You've even seen the Comoros defender have a good game in goal. So I think we are really blessed in that department. I think now it's shifted. So now I think our issue now is more the strikers. I think outside Cameroon, we're not seeing much from the African strikers in this tournament. So maybe that's something we should think about. Okay. But so I did a small list of some of the goalkeeping performances. This is stats based, of course, because you know once we come here, we are talking about numbers and
data. I love
so that. I think everything is clear there, apart from clean sheets, goals conceded, and shots on target face. So that's SOT. So I just have to explain XGOT.
Okay.
So there's two different ways to measure XG. That's one, the shot location. The next one is where the shot lands. So that one takes into account the original XG, but where it lands on goal. So if you are 12 yards out and you play it over the bar, that's 0 XG on target because the keeper hasn't had to do anything. But if you hit it from 12 yards to the top corner, higher value. 30 yards to the top corner, lower value, but because the top corner, high value. So it's more about where the shot goes, and it's more to measure goalkeeping performance. So I looked at some of the keepers who faced a lot of XG on target and how they handled it. So I chose Mohamed El Shanawi of Egypt, Hervé Kofi, Burkina Faso, Salim Ben Boina of Comoros, Jean-Noel Amonomi. Sorry, I'm not Gabonese. I'm not Gabonese, so pardon me. And Andrew Onana of Cameroon. So these are the keepers I chose. So as we know, the most clean sheets in the competition is 2. Edouard Mendy and a host of other Edouard Mendy, Sergi Dieng, and a host of other keepers have 2. And in terms of goals conceded, I think Mendy and Mohamed El Shanawi are both on 1. So I just wanted to talk about how they've played and the kind of thing. So one thing that stands out is Cameroon the shots they are facing are very high quality because the XG on target being 5.6 shows that the shots that are coming to Onana's goal are very good. Okay. Maybe they might not be from good locations necessarily, but when they do come on target, Onana is really having to work. So that's why we can see it. And when you do the goals conceded minus the XG on target, you can get a kind of metric, kind of like goals prevented. So how well are they stopping and saving their teams? So you can see that Mohamed El Shanawi, the XG on target and the goals conceded, there's a big disparity of about 3 points. So he's basically saved 3 goals for his team. And Onana has saved 1.6.
Right.
So that's kind of what we are looking at. And some of them is not necessarily that close. But I think have Kofi having 2 clean sheets shows that he's doing a decent job. So the defense also helping them. So there's different type of goalkeeping. But I think Salim Ben Boina is the one who stands out for me because I think Comoros really struggled in terms of keeping teams out.
Okay.
We saw he came off against Ghana and Ghana scored 2 goals. So I think Comoros, their defense was very poor. So their keepers had to be on their best behavior and they really stood out. So I chose Ben Boina because he's supposed to be their quote-unquote starter. And then the next match the next match after that, they had a outfield player in Paul. So it wasn't, but he did very well in those 2 and a bit matches he played. Then I think El Shanawi's performance is stellar because I think Egypt have faced a lot of tough shots based on this, but he's done very well. And I think even Gabaski is also up there in their rankings. But like I said, because this is the designated starter, I chose him. But Senegal, I think when you see their keepers, there's not much to talk about. I think the Senegalese have, because they've kept the ball so well, they've also not faced a lot of difficult shots. So their keepers have not had much to do by comparison to these other keepers, which is why they are not on this list. So I think Senegal is a team defending effort rather than Mendy or Sergi and Dieng having good goalkeeping performances. So these are the keepers that have stood out on a statistical basis. And I think one of them should win keeper of the tournament. But I think depending on who wins the tournament, it will tilt the judges because usually you are rewarded for team performance in these situations.
Interesting. I mean, look, imagine Senegal wins the AFCON. It would be I think it would be a little odd to see a Senegalese goalkeeper win goalkeeper of the tournament.
Yeah, goalkeeping hasn't been where they have been strongest, to be honest. I don't think there's fair. Like the data showed, the quality of chances they've conceded have been very small. I think in the group stages, for me personally, not just the group stages, the first round, the first 4 matches, I think overwhelmingly for me, my goalkeeper of the tournament up until that point was Mohamed Kamara of the Gambia. Okay. He saved the penalty to get them into the I think 2 penalties, in the group stages alone to get them into the knockout stages. That in itself is historic. And sometimes we talk about, I don't know if these XG numbers include the penalty saves.
It would, but I think sometimes
not shootout, but regulation time penalty saves. Like in the case of Mohamed Kamara, he saved 2 regulation time penalties to get Gambia.
It also depends on where the penalty is, how well the penalty is played. So that's part of
but isn't that a little tricky to analyze because how do you determine how well the penalty is?
If the penalty is in the top corner, that's more difficult to save. If it is straight at the goalkeeper, that's easier to save. If the height of the penalty is a little...
When we were talking about Eric Bailly, I mentioned that where he played the ball was very easy for the keeper to save. So a penalty like that would not have a high kind of thing, if that makes sense. But if it's in the top corner.
So the point I was making is that if you look at, I don't think for example, the numbers alone make a good case for good goalkeeping. Look, when I watch this tournament, for example, even from an Egyptian point of view, I would give Grabaski a lot of props over someone like El Shanawi, who played the first 2 matches, is being out. This guy has come in. Gabaski has come in from nowhere and he's making incredible saves. The save he made against Morocco alone, that is a match winner. And not just that, the previous run against Cote d'Ivoire, the penalty shootout saves. So we're looking at, yes, the quality of the shots or the quality of the penalties taking a one discussion altogether. But I think that goalkeepers they have to make a nuisance of themselves in order to scare opponents into taking shots in ways that are much easier for them to save. All of them is a mental game as much as it is a physical one. Okay. And I think Grabaski has really distinguished himself in this competition. I haven't been very impressed with the big name goalkeepers that have come into this competition, aka Andre Onana and Mendy. Mendy, of course, he missed a couple of games through COVID, but he's not really faced a lot of shots either. So it's been and that's not his fault. So it's been very difficult to try and say that he's been exceptional. Andre Onana has faced a lot of shots, as the data showed. He's not been impressive, to be honest. And it's true. He has an XG of 5.4. He's considered for 4 goals. 5.6, and he's considered 4 goals. I mean, that's not. And you look at someone like. You take someone like, say, Salim Ben Boina. He has an XG of 4.0. he's considered just 2 goals.
And
You
then
know what that means?
basically
That's
2
50%.
And in basically 2 games.
Yeah.
Because when you play like the first maybe
Exactly.
was
So-
it 30 minutes of the Ghana game?
Yeah, so I think that the unfancied, if I can put it that way, goalkeepers that have come into the competition have definitely stolen the limelight for me. And for me, top of my list, Mohamed Kamara, and I don't really care. And that's why I think it's disgraceful the way the Gambian people have treated these stars after what they did in Cameroon. You can't leave your national team players stranded in a tournament after they got kicked out. Not just kicked out, after they made their debut, progressed to round of 16 for the first time in the country's history. That is the best performance in the history of Gambian football. These guys deserve a hero's welcome. All right? So they can't even get flights to take them back to the Gambia. And players are buying, those abroad are buying tickets and flying back to their clubs all by themselves. I mean, this is, why does that have to happen?
And
But
I think that was
to be
I
fair,
guess
the fans were
organizational
waiting.
thing.
The fans were waiting for the
They
team.
did, and they missed that particular flight because the flight wasn't arranged.
Okay,
and the
but
players
thank-
were doing
but thanks.
Instagram live complaining
now
about.
they're in trouble because per the CAF regulations, when you get kicked out of the tournament, you're only allowed to stay on for 48 hours.
Yes.
That ended at 12 midnight.
And they were
So
still.
from then on, you provide your own security, you take care of your
Everything,
own accommodation.
I mean, this is just
But
ridiculous.
thanks.
I have
That's
to
a
say
sport.
something. It's a bigger issue in terms of flights in Africa. Let's be honest. It's very
Traveling
difficult
around
to
the continent is difficult.
fly in intra-West Africa. I think that's another issue that contributed to this problem.
No, but this is the
How
Gambian's
so? No,
problem. I mean,
let
the
him
minister-
explain. How
no,
so?
my parents travel around all the time.
No, in the particular case of Gambia, how did that
The
affect?
minister has admitted that it was a logistical mix-up.
Yes, they
So
just
it
needed
was
to,
their
because in these
mistake.
cases, they always charter flights. You
Yeah.
can't put footballers on a commercial flight.
flight.
I mean, that's not how it happens.
it's
It's a
so-
national team.
Well, Gambia is also a quite poor country relatively.
They
as
just
well.
finished an election. You know how much money they spent on that?
Okay, in fact, I get you. So they dropped the ball. And
Big time.
They dropped the
And
ball.
they should
big
be
time.
ashamed
Okay,
of themselves.
Actually, just concluding thoughts on.
Because we are proud. This Gambia should come here, including their coach. We like. No, seriously.
No, but but you see, Fed,
Nathan,
I'm
isn't it-
coming.
Think about it. No, what has
listen,
happened?
Listen.
Nate,
I
let me
get
give you
your
a good
point. I'm
analogy.
just saying
what has happened.
You can
it's
blame.
like 2006 World Cup.
I get it.
We've
Blame-
gone there.
we've done well, and then
made
we are
it to the
stuck
round
in
of
Germany.
16. We've lost honorably to Brazil.
And then we are stuck in
and then
Germany.
we are stuck
Minister
in
says-
Germany. Then we are running away in Germany, and then we are doing Facebook Live,
I get
asking
it. I get
footballers.
it. The people in charge
Come on,
of the Gambian team should have done better. I'm sure if they had issues, they probably could have spoken to CAF
Yes.
and to help them. Or
I will
something.
pay e-levy for them to get the money and then fly them back to their country.
Okay, you.
They deserve it.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I take more thoughts on goalkeeping. I read a couple of your messages, and then I try to get final predictions on who wins that game between Burkina Faso and Senegal in the first AFCON semi-final. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Let me go through some of your messages quickly. Somebody's asking whether Traore was suspended or the coach dropped him. Well, Traore was dropped. He wasn't suspended. He'll be back for the semis. Derek from Tema says Senegal versus Cameroon will be the final. This one says, I can't wait to see my keeper Mendy lifting the trophy for the first time. Okay. Humble Lion from Wale Wale. Somebody says, I love Citi TV. How I wish you can telecast the AFCON or the World Cup. Your analysis is perfect. Remember, Burkina Faso pushed Algeria all the way to the final game of the qualifiers for the World Cup. They didn't lose. All right. Somebody's asking where Daniel Cranston is. Daniel Cranston is around. He'll be back.
Tell them he's producing the show.
Daniel Cranston is the producer for today. Let me put it right.
He's not going anywhere.
Kafui from Aveme, Beme, in the Volta region says, I'm of the great view that victory will be on the side of the Senegalese. This one says, Senegal will carry the night if they replicate their performance against Equatorial Guinea. That's Collins from Mata Heko, Afienya. Achu, your thoughts on the goalkeeping thing? Why do you think we are seeing this? Is it that the quality has increased? Are strikers being poor? Have goalkeepers gotten better?
I think what most technical people will tell you has to be from how they view footballers in general. And it is that they, like products, can be reworked to meet specifications. And I think that you have to look at it and think that goalkeeping is the latest component of African football that is getting more scientific. And so if you look at the saves that goalkeepers are making now, it is because now they are more calculative of how they move and how they react to those situations. And so, for example, things like a goalkeeper starting position determines what distance he has to cover in trying to make a save. If they want to punch a ball away, whether going with a fist or just putting their arm up is the best way to do it. And even in terms of how they command their goal area. Fence was talking about the difference between Gabaski and then El Shenawi. El Shenawi, on many occasions, would not have to make the save because he takes absolute command of his defensive area. What he tells you to do is what you do. He doesn't care who you are. Once you're in front of him, and you're in the position of responsibility, he demands that you take charge of that situation. If he wants to come out and make that save, he does. And I think that those are the little things that goalkeepers now are realizing. Yes, there are unique sets of skills that others may come into the game. For example, their distribution in starting attacks, how some of them are built, will determine whether or not they will quickly go down, or like in the case of Richard Attar, David De Gea, they will decide to just go low and make safe shots with their feet. Because they know that because of their size, they cannot really get down quickly in time to make the save. And so new information and all of these things are getting into the game and are improving the quality of goalkeeping that we've seen. The penalty kicks that have been saved at this tournament, for me, can only be explained by the fact that the goalkeepers have been given information about where these guys hit their shots, which direction they hit their shots. And the thing is this, it is no longer a lottery. The player kicking the ball is in control of which direction the ball moves, at what speed the ball moves, and how the ball moves. So if they are placing the ball, you know that it is going to go with a bit of a spin, be it away from the goalkeeper or towards the goalkeeper. If they go for power, you know it's going direct and all of that. And so once a goalkeeper is armed with this information and knows which direction the ball is likely to travel, at what speed it is likely to travel, they know what to do, and they know which players are going to hit these penalty kicks in this way. And I think that it is just a simple case of goalkeepers now being better informed to make better choices than previously. In the past, a lot of goalkeepers, which apart from those who were heavily built, will shy away from moving out to take charge of their 6-yard area. But these days, once the cross gets into that area, you get goalkeepers emboldened to move out and then make that save because they know that's their safe space. And it is more difficult to make a save if a player hits the ball from that distance, because the distance is shorter to goal than it is from anywhere further out. And so you are better placed, or you have a better chance of making a save if you decide to take control of that space.
You mentioned that, and it takes me to the Gambia goalkeeper save on that Abubakar header, point blank header. He's already doing the star jump, and he's narrowing the gap. You know?
So they know what to expect, and they know that within a certain distance, once you don't move out, you have to go unorthodox to make the save by making your body big, even if you are jumping, even if you are standing. Because if you decide to stand and then dive, your arm only covers the parts where you dive or you move your arm, the direction you move.
And then we see someone that say this is a brilliant save where the goalkeeper has had to shuffle across.
And I think this is because of his starting position.
And that's this. I mean, this one was against Comoros.
Exactly, but the earlier chance that we saw was because of the goalkeeper starting position.
And that's the save I'm talking about. So the goalkeeper.
Exactly. Yes.
Just off his line.
Yeah. But the earlier chance.
I think the Equatorial Guinea keeper made a similar save from Abubakar, didn't he?
Yeah.
But for me, the earlier chance was more scientific because the goalkeeper knows that if he moves in a certain direction or stays within a reasonable distance from where he is to the goal post, if he has to dive, he doesn't need to take too many steps.
Okay.
If he gets it wrong, he has to try to cover more ground, by which time, and the ball travels at a faster speed than you can recover. And so if you get these things right, and I think that we're seeing this in volumes, not just in isolated cases, not just in isolated cases at the AFCON. A similar save was made by the Moroccan goalkeeper in the Ghana versus off Joseph Pinto's shot. So it's good to see all of these things, and you can make direct comparisons between the trend now and what we saw in 2019. 2019 was horrible, but you're beginning to see goalkeepers make variety of saves it cannot all be an accident. It cannot all be an accident.
There's some proper coaching. There's some proper coaching.
Bono is a quality goalkeeper.
So watch the movement.
He sets his feet and then takes a couple of steps.
Then that's what many people always confuse to. So when a goalkeeper dives to his left and goes with his right hand, Peter Cech will tell you that. That is, he has a better chance of saving that ball like that.
If you
than
take, if
he
you go with
angle
the
is
false
bigger.
hand,
Yes.
yeah.
The angle is going to be bigger.
So, but many people would always
Say
be
go
quick to
with your
criticize
natural hand,
goalkeepers
say go with your
when he
natural
goes with his right hand while diving left and then doesn't save it. They say, why didn't he just go with his left? But I've listened to a podcast where Peter Cech explained in detail why it is much easier to save the ball diving
your false
to
hand.
one, diving to one side and then going with the other hand. So if you're diving to the left, of course, it's especially if the ball is high, you have a better chance of saving it if you go with your right hand. And Bono just showed that against Ghana in that pencil save. He dove to his left, but he went with his right and he got it. So maybe his left he might not have gotten there, but it is worth pointing out. I don't know why the producer isn't playing this. Badra versus Sierra Leone.
Badra versus Sierra Leone. Okay.
Yes, Cote d'Ivoire versus Sierra Leone. Bad goalkeeping. Also, Nigeria versus Tunisia. So it's happened, and the goalkeeper was abused thoroughly. So
we're
we're
focusing on the positives today.
He's redeeming. Please.
There's bad keeping everywhere. We're talking about how the standard.
Yes, but I'm also saying that. I'm saying that there are bad nuts. Show me the bad nuts.
Look, if you look at this performance, I think versus Egypt, and the game immediately after the Sierra Leone one, I mean, he's redeemed himself and these days puts in some really good performances.
He did.
Yeah.
He didn't save a penalty though.
Well,
no,
look,
I'm talking about your normal time.
I will be very
against
interested.
Egypt he was good.
I'll be very interested, probably to maybe, I don't know if somebody's done some analysis on goalkeeping, because I think all of us here around this table and in this parish, we all seem to agree that something special is happening in terms of the goalkeeping at this competition. Because like we said, look, guys, we've seen previous AFCONs where Charlie, some of the goals that these keepers let in.
But I'm still back to the Nigerian goalkeeper, right? Krantin. No, I want us to do this because he received a lot of abuse after the game. Yeah. But I just want us to be able to go back to that incident and see whether it's actually
think about it.
Or if there was something else. Because is it all his fault?
If I remember right, it went under him or something.
No, under him.
It took this wild,
but it went under him in the end. That's what I mean.
He made contact with the ball, but I think that his arm was not strong enough to make the save. This was similar to the goal Edin Dzeko scored, I think, in his debut season in the Community Shield
against David De Gea. Yes.
So that is a direct goalkeeping error.
Yeah,
it's an error.
Yeah,
error of positioning.
Unless
so that's the goal.
Unless of course the ball took an awkward bounce.
So first of all, his positioning. I think the ball took a wicked bounce in front of him, didn't it?
The ball did swerve in a very odd manner.
The thing with such shots is that you cannot try to just parry it with one arm.
Okay, so here.
Okay, so here you have Imsakni. He's turning. So goalkeeper seems to know what he's doing.
He can see it.
He can
now
see
the
shot from afar.
Now the shot looks like it's going to his right, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
No, yeah.
Because the ball has
no, it does. It actually kind of spun.
Yeah, I thought it was going to his right.
Exactly.
But if you watch the goalkeeper's
so that's probably why the goalkeeper was.
But friends, he didn't even have to adjust his body because he probably anticipated the ball to move in that direction. So even though the ball
he's trying to dive right, and then suddenly he was preparing to dive right.
He takes a sudden step to his right.
He was definitely trying to dive right, preparing to dive right.
Yes. That's what goalkeeping, because he doesn't adjust his body in a manner that suggests that he thinks the ball is deceiving him. So clearly he knows, or the ball is moving eventually, or it ends up eventually in the direction that he anticipates. Yes. What happens, again, however,
I genuinely feel like he was preparing to dive right. He thought the ball was going to his right.
What is the initial position? Okay. I suspect he's imagining a shot that is coming straight at him.
Yes.
Look at his body. He kind of kneels to receive a straight shot.
Exactly.
Okay? Right? And then the ball suddenly
watch the ball spin.
So the ball suddenly
kicks it.
So maybe we can roll the tape. The ball suddenly swerves.
Exactly.
So he's already in that position where he's trying to receive it head on.
Yes.
And then the ball goes away from him.
The problem for him, I think, is the attempt to just tip it away or parry it away with one arm. If he dives full on with both hands, he easily makes that save.
But I think in that position, he was already compromised. Once he went down on one knee, hoping to receive a straight shot, and the ball took that swerve, I think his natural instinct...
I thought he was definitely preparing to dive right there. Look at him.
No, he was. I think he was.
Yes, he was preparing to dive right.
Look at this position. What is this position?
This was, you see, at this point, the ball was already right in front of him.
Yeah. Even the way his knee is bent. Even the way his knee is bent.
Exactly.
You can tell he was
but guys, the crucial question is, Does he have enough time to react properly and make the save? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You think the recovery time was good?
Yes.
But the technique was poor.
wrong.
Okay.
And we've seen Manuel Neuer and a few other goalkeepers do this on countless occasions.
Get flat-footed.
Yes, and then just palm the ball away with both hands.
Okay.
If you because the power and the speed at which the ball is traveling, it's next to impossible
to adjust.
But I really don't think that he could have taken both his hands.
I think he was already in a compromised position.
Yes.
There was not
It
a lot he
wasn't
could have
possible.
done. Initially, he got his initial judgment wrong. Let me read this final message before we go. In Wazufu Simon from Ebonyi State of Nigeria.
And
he says, hailing Citi TV for obvious football analysis. Keep it up. My prediction, Burkina Faso 2, Senegal 1.
Should we put our salary on it?
The Nigerian has spoken.
I want to see them win.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. All right, thank you for watching. This has been another exciting episode of the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwa. I had Achuta Makolo, Fenty Tahiru, and Susu Graham with me. Daniel Cranting was our expert producer. Thanks to everybody who made the show possible. Lights, camera, sound, director, everybody. We are back tomorrow. We'll look back on that very interesting semi-final that will be played later today. We'll look ahead to Egypt, Cameroon, all of that happening tomorrow. But for now, do enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, stay safe, and please keep watching Citi TV.